This
SAP,
conference will now be recorded.
and my core expertise lies in, actually when I started with the core logistics modules like SDMM, and then currently I'm now working more into the supply chain tools, mainly in the area of TM, EWM, and the yard logistics. So I will be a point of contact for this particular training, functional training on SAP yard logistics. Yeah, so from the functional perspective, I'll be your point of contact, and for any admin and for any server access, Naveen will be the point of contact. So I think I just went through all of your introduction. First of all, thanks for taking time on the Saturday evenings to attend to this overview session on the yard logistics. So just want to understand, like when we have the core module like HD, MM, TM, EWM and all, so means what led you to have a training requirement for yard logistics? So if some of you can lay down your expectation, it will be helpful for me so that I can, go accordingly to that. So just any inputs or any, feedback from any one of you. Why it's yard logistics? Like, is there any specific project requirement, or is it that you want to know the supply chain but end-to-end process so that you can correlate all the processes here into one umbrella? So that leads to the requirement of yard logistics. So if you want to say something on that, anyone?
On my side, it's the both. I want to cover the entire gamut of the supply chain with the yard logistics, TM and EWM. It will complete the process. Probably we can think about the warehouse automations and the logistics business network, which will not be part of this class. And the second one is the project requirements. And so the project is going to start, and there is one project which is already finished. So we need to take care of that. So both the requirements are there, which I'm expecting from this project to get fulfilled.
Okay, okay, thanks. Okay, okay. So I think every one of you can see my screen, right? So can anyone tell me what do you understand by the word yard logistics? Rather, what do you expect, that what is the chief feature of this product, and what is the processes that needs to be created by this module, which has led SAP to have a separate module apart from TM EWM called as yard logistics? Anyone?
As per my understanding, it's the extension of the yard management which we had in the EWM. It brings much more, the functionality. It's a more feature it, more Fury oriented, and it has more integration interfaces. The control is like, something like in the hands of the couriers, drivers, self-checking kind of a functionality is there. Apart from that, the better management of the yard, the location management, the way we are managing the warehouse in the EWM, we can manage our yard with the help of the yard logistics. And so you can say it's a big brother of the yard management. It was something like, we used to have the logistics execution as a part of sales and distribution, and later on logistics execution became a separate, and then it turned into the basic shipping and the basic transportation and the full transportation module. Similarly, I think, SAP migrated, or I would say, went to the next level from EWM, integrated yard management, to a complete separate product with much more features and integration interfaces with yard logistics.
Yes, you have actually given a very good overview. So basically what happens, the companies who need yards. Yards means basically it's a logistical unit where basically in a day-to-day scenario, suppose you are allowing the truck to come inside the premises, right? So they need yards to basically park their car, park their trucks. Then they need yard basically to do lot of logistics process. Any type of movements of your logistical unit within the premises needs yard. And what are the different features you are going to achieve by using this yard? That is what the yard logistics is about. So in other words, if you want to implement different logistics process with yards based on the different requirements of your entire supply chain process, SAP has brought this module in the market. Now there are different architectural views on that. Most of the times what we've seen in the previously before S4, basically it was treated as a sidecar module completely. But now we have a 4 stack deployment model. Okay, I will come into the deployment options later on. But nowadays in most of the projects what we are seeing, it is basically treated as an add-on in S4. Okay, so when you are creating it as an add-on in S4, so obviously the source or the truth of the entire logistics process obviously lies with TM or EWM, and from there the triggering of the different documents in yard logistics starts. So yard logistics should not be treated as a an additional module which can run by itself. Okay, you have to have the integration with the different other logistics process. So if you see in a nutshell, this SAP yard logistics solution provides your check-in feature, check-out feature on the transport unit, also how you're going to plan the movement of the truck within the yard, how the execution of the transportation units will happen within the yard, what are the different types of yard operations you're going to have, how you're going to monitor the yard, how the billing will happen when the truck is utilizing the yard. All these are part of the yard management feature. Okay, so lot of things SAP has gone, but I just want to share you one update here, that you know end-to-end process works quite well in yard logistics, but we see still in the current landscape also there are few applications which gets addressed only once you have some notes from SAP. Okay, because there are certain features which is supposed to have worked, but still we feel that some integrity things are still missing out. So in the latest version, SAP has removed a lot of redundancies and all these critical issues. And now yard logistics is more or less in a stable state of mind. Okay. So if you see, I just wanted to expand on a hierarchy level. Again, those who are, I think all of you are quite new in this area. So it is very important to know what are the connectivities in terms of functionalities when we are launching SAP yard logistics. Can everyone see my screen? Is my
Yes,
screen visible to everyone?
yes, yes.
Okay.
CPT is going.
Yes. Okay. So basically, when we go into the yard logistics functionality, okay, there are basically 5 critical features. So I'm not going into any type of cross processes because these are the additional features we have. But the main core functionalities of, or I say the 5 building blocks. I would always use the word building blocks in any SAP application because these building blocks are connected to each other. Are these 5: planning, preparation, arrival, in yard, and departure. So for example, when we are going to do any type of planning in a yard, it is very important to have what are the subcomponents which makes up the main pillar. Okay, so the planning may start either internally within the system, or may they take an input from external system, and you need to create a schedule based on which the yard have to be, or the yard operations needs to be monitored and executed. So before you do any type of planning within the year, you need to know the planning process, how and what pointers drive the planning in yard logistics. And then once the planning part is done, we need to do the preparation part. So the preparation part is basically the output of the planning. So output of any yard planning is always a yard order. You have to also specify whether the yard order will be able to meet the capacity of the truck which is to operate within the yard, and how you are going to integrate your preparation with the planning process. So there are a lot of inbound, outbound operations. There are a lot of values which goes in liaison between planning and preparation. Now, once the basic preparation of the yard operations are done, then the truck or any other transportation unit arrives in the basically in the yard, where you have to do the check-in process. Okay, and there are a lot of ways by which the check-in can be done. There can be some truck which has not been planned because it is an unexpected arrival. So how to meet those unexpected arrival feature also, that can also be done through the arrival process, because the truck has to arrive. Because unless the truck arrives, the different operations cannot be executed. And then once the truck arrives, what are the different operations performed in the yard? So what are the different yard movements? What are the different integration points you have? And what are the different types of exceptions you have? What will happen if there is a difference between the planned and the actual quantities? All these things are part of the yard operations within the yard. So in the earlier days, if you remember, before yard logistics were there, we used to always have the integration with the weighbridge, right? Like when the truck is to enter with the with the loaded products, they have to be measured. They used to enter the yard, check-in is to be done. The movement of the truck used to happen within the yard, and then the truck used to depart. Okay, so that was more of a very high level with very little overview and the visibility of the movements and the execution within the yard. So that's why SAP evolved this product of yard logistics. Okay. And finally, we have the departure. So I think departure part, you understood what is departure, like the checkout process. And when the checkout is done, you need to ensure that all the outputs are being triggered, printing has been done, so that all the required functionalities have been triggered successfully. And then you also have an interface where different types of cross processes can be done. So cross processes means during the time when the truck is there in the yard, you have to activate your yard billing process. You can have there SAP has given a very robust and a visibility tool where you can view the movement of the truck within the yard. So it's a 2D, 3D dimensional view where the movement can be tracked and traced. And there are other features of SAP in yard logistics where the triggering based on if you are carrying a dangerous goods, in case you are triggering any alerts, in case any external APIs needs to be integrated, because you may always have an interface with yard management with a third-party system, or you may have an integration with yard management within the mobile logistics system. So if it is a cloud-based solution, you can always use APIs in order to integrate and make the data flow between multiple systems, right? So that is what the integration is about on the cross-process functionality. Okay. So in other words, this yard management is actually the missing piece between SAP Transportation Management, SAP Extended Warehouse Management, and SAP ERP system. Even if they do not use the standard integrations, some customers have enhanced the integration points to adapt to the current needs. Okay. So any question on this? Any question on the preparation part, check-in part, execution part? Obviously, we'll go all of this in details, once we officially start the class. But I just wanted to have, if you understand what are the different, the building blocks of your yard logistics process. This is very important to understand, and we'll obviously go in the corresponding sessions, what features, how you want to set up this, how you do a check-in, how the planning will be done, how execution gets done, how checkout has to be done, all these things. Any question? Just one thing I need to tell you, that there is a functionality called as dangerous goods. So storing the dangerous goods in the yard is always a challenge for logistics companies, right? So therefore, if you want to implement and activate dangerous goods, you need to have an integration with SAP EHS with the material master data. Okay, because having a wide variety of transportation units with a certain rule set requires a flexible framework to classify the transportation unit. Okay. So can you tell me what are the business benefits of yard logistics? Because this is a very common question your client can ask you in any of the workshops or in any of the, any of the interviews you go in, anyone can ask. So what do you see the main business benefits of having using yard logistics? Anyone?
It prevents truck waiting time in the yard.
Yes, correct. Any other thing?
Track
And
where the truck is in the yard.
Yes. So the first feature is reduce the waiting time. So basically, tracking the time required for certain activities in the yard is key, right? To negotiate the different costs for waiting time with the carriers. So through the yard logistics process, the carrier's waiting time gets reduced. Okay. So in that way, if you're reducing the waiting time, there will be much optimization in the entire logistics process. That is the first benefit. Second benefit, you can easily identify bottlenecks. That means if you're having an accurate tracking in place and every yard activity can be tracked, then all the different bottlenecks can be identified by the customers. For example, that you can identify a parking area as a big bottleneck, right? So you know where the truck should park their vehicle. So enlarging the parking area or changing the process will fix that issue. Then you can also track and trace vehicles in the yard, correct? So in SAP EWM and TM, the tracking stops once the truck has arrived at the door. The visibility continues once the truck unloads the goods. So basically, using SAP Yard Logistics, this gap is closed in the visibility by tracking every activity in the yard. Like for example, if the yard is parked in a certain locations there also, the tracking can be done. Hence, having this information can help you to improve the customer satisfaction also. Now you have certain integrations with lot of IoTs. Okay. So like the truck drivers can self-register on terminals at the check-in process. In that way, truckers can get checked in parallel, which is cost effective for the yard, right? Like for example, there can be lot of RFID readers also, which can be applicable. So tracking the transportation unit and updating the data to your SAP, maybe a cloud platform solution, is one of the way which is possible also through yard logistics. So these
I
are the
have
major benefits what you have. Yes.
just one small question. Is DAS the appointment scheduling? Is it also a
Yes.
part of YL?
Yes. Actually, it's an integration. So see, DS cannot exist either entirely within TM or EWM, right? So
Yeah.
this dock appointment scheduling is also possible through the yard logistics solution.
So in the standalone version, like when we are going to have the
Yes.
training, we'll be focusing only on the YL part, right? Not
Yes.
the integration with the EWM and the
No,
TM and
what I will do, no, there is, see, integration with, mainly we'll deal with YL, but I will
hmm
also capture one scenario with TM and EWM.
Okay.
Okay, because yard logistics, you have the feature called as slot booking, which is
Yes.
nothing but it's a DAS, dock appointment scheduling,
Okay.
where you want
Okay.
to book certain slots at a particular location, right?
Yeah. Got it. Thank
So
you.
if your transportation management system is in place, this
Mm.
can be connected.
Yeah.
So ideally, the integration between TM with YL provides you the cross this dock appointment scheduling solution.
Talk about incident.
And one interesting part I just want to tell you for everyone's knowledge, again we'll go into deep details, that the technical basis is SAP EWM for the yard logistics, but yard logistics has its own data model.
Yeah.
Okay, but the technical setup is always EWM. So when you go into the yard management, you will see a lot of objects are not being used in EWM or TM, like yard request, yard order, yard task,
Mm.
yard transportation unit. So that's why SAP has completely secluded the business object used in YL with TM and EWM. Like for example, if you talk about yard request and yard orders, they have no equivalence in EWM. But if you see the yard transportation unit, they rely on transportation unit which we use in TM. And if you use the word yard task, they utilize the warehouse task functionality in EWM in the background. So basically, the architecture based on which your YL has been released is built on top of a mature and stable foundation using TM and EWM only, but the business objects are completely separated. And current version which we'll be using is YL 2.0. Okay.
Do we have the decentralized version also of YL, or it's available only in embedded?
Yes. So I will, that's why when I go into the system, I will show you the deployment options where
Mm-hmm.
ER logistics can be basically act as a standalone server. ER
Okay.
logistics can be installed on S4HANA, and
Mm-hmm.
ER logistics can also be installed on SAP SCM server.
Okay.
These are the three different versions you have. And this S4HANA integration started with S4 1709 as an add-on. So I'll go into the deployment level in details.
So will we also be covering the integration with the not the integration, I would say, the configuration with the resources and the equipment, because in the yard we'll have the different types of equipment and other stuff. So,
See, this is the syllabus where we'll
okay.
go with the introduction of yard logistics.
Mm-hmm.
We'll map what are the organizational structures required in SAP. We'll go into the SAP yard structure concept. We'll see what are the different master data, what are the configurations to set up YL, and then we'll go into the individual blocks like planning execution, and we'll see one scenario with TM EWM. We'll also see what are the different monitoring tools and reporting tools available in yard logistics.
Okay.
Although I have shown here the integration with third party, but this is more of an overview. If you want to
Mm-hmm.
integrate YL with a third party, what you need to do,
Okay.
and what are the different best practices which is available for yard logistics. So these I will share my industry expertise, at least based on various projects I have done on yard logistics, how you want to implement yard logistics in your current process.
So the yard logistics can be used for both inbound and outbound, right? So you cover
Yes,
both.
yes. But see, as I was telling you, there is no difference much in the inbound and outbound. Okay, so when you'll be working on the integration with EWM, mostly I will take up the outbound process. Okay, and I will also take up one of the process integrations with transportation management. Okay.
Okay.
What is the future in
Are
yard
we going to
logistics?
start building scenarios?
See, it's a very, I like to say it's a very new feature, although it says 1709, but it's a new feature in terms of implementation, right? Okay, so ultimately, see, it completely depends on industry. SAP has not provided any constraint in the users. Okay, so those industries who want to have an entire supply chain visibility should utilize this feature, because you have seen it's not only about integrating with TM and all, but it is integrated as an outcome of TM and EWM process. And as you know, TM and EWM process will be is a future roadmap of any of the logistics and warehouse process, right? So so every company would like to have an end-to-end visibility tool, right? Because nowadays what happened, you are doing your individual activities in TM EWM, but the entire visibility perspective is sometimes gets lost. So what we see, so if I say that 3 years before, I would not say that there was a huge demand in YL. Okay, but nowadays SAP is really see, it's more of a product advertisement also, right? Like what are the benefits you have seen, and with different types of IoTs and different types of interfaces and different types of enhancements and different types of technicalities what YL we have now. So many clients are embracing this particular solution because it is not going to implement their core solution. So the core solution will remain as it is, but in order to have an overview, it gives you. So mostly in the 2PL, 3PLs, different types of CPG industries where there are a lot of movements of trucks in and out, or movements of inland transports. Generally, this solution has to, I'll not say has to be envisaged. Nothing is mandatory, but we have seen a rising you can adoption of this solution in different types of industries now. So obviously, once an end-to-end visibility is required if you are implementing this, and this will cause no harm to your entire solution because you have a full visibility now.
Are we going to cover billing, self-check-in, DS?
DS we'll cover. Yes.
So billing and self-check-in we won't be covering, right?
Yes. 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 Billing and self-checking will be covered. Yes. Only few things which will be covered as part of overview. One is obviously on the alert management functionality. I cannot show you alerts because I need to set up basis for that. And interface to third parties, I cannot do it. Mobile operations, I cannot do it. I cannot show you basically the terminal functionality because this requires hardware devices, right?
Right.
Okay. Those part I cannot do. Any other question? So this is more of a system landscape. Like I'll go into details of what are the different system landscapes you have. Okay. And as you are asking about the main process we'll be covering, these are the 4 pillars. And within these 4 pillars, mostly all of them should be covered. And this is the functional overview which I have gone through. Okay. And what are the main functionalities? So here you see, you are asking about the billing part. So that is obviously covered. And these are more of a business process. And therefore, we'll also cover one end-to-end truck scenario, which I was saying from the perspective of transportation management integration. Okay. And we'll try to explain it through a user story so that you can understand end-to-end how does the or what are the different activities we perform using the yard logistics. This was what I was saying, that a 3D view, you can easily view it. This is a very robust feature which SAP Yard Logistics provides because you can have a full visibility of the yard movement of the truck. Okay. And these are some of the different integration features which SAP offers. Obviously, this is more of an automation part which we cannot show it, but I will also share my experience because I have done in all of the clients the entire geofencing concept. Okay. So I'll give some industry expertise also, like in case you may get this type of feature, how will you do it? Okay. So this is more of a, I would like to say more of a theoretical PPT, but we'll go into the system and show you all of that. So we'll add it to the standard process because the standard vanilla implementation is important. And then based on the requirement, the complexities can be derived. Okay. Clear? Any other question from anyone? Any other question? Anything?
You mentioned that a DSD, direct store delivery, like it's a different concept, right?
Yeah, see, I wrote here direct store to delivery DSD. It's mostly which we use in the retail part also, but the 4 key pillars are already there, right? Planning, execution, checking and checkout and all this, right? So it is irrespective of whether it's DSD with any processes, but I just wanted to highlight those 4 pillars. I'll not go in details of DSD process. Okay, I just took an example. You are referring to this one, right?
Yes, DSD is a different concept, like.
Yes, it's a different concept. So I just it's just an example that in DSD also nowadays YL can be deployed.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions
So
so
what
far?
will
Yeah.
be the course duration?
See, we target maximum of what I've seen, it's around 20 to 24 hours. Okay, but if you feel that more input is required, we can always extend the hours. But just based on the previous experience, what we have in covering the while, we generally see that 20 to 24 hours is sufficient. So we'll try to wrap it on in 2 months.
So Virendra, one question.
Okay.
Am I audible, Virendra?
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, like we need EWM and TM, right? On top of that, we will have this YL, correct? Or we can have a YL separately also.
We can have a YL separate also, where you can use, but I will cover both without usage of TM, both with use of TM. How you can
Okay.
integrate YL with TM, that also I'll show. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
Virendra, what is the timings for this session?
That Naveen will be your point of contact on this. He will collaborate and coordinate with each of you and will provide a convenient time.
Okay.
Is a settlement comes under TM or it's yeah, logistics?
So settlement means it also comes under when you do the billing and all. There are some one feature within YL called as a settlement process also. Okay. So that part will cover. Okay.
So why do we have this settlement in YL?
I will tell you, because there are addendums in the features, okay, where you are using a standalone YL not dependent on TM and all. So when the trucks are coming in, basically the settlement process can be triggered. It's not the freight settlement, okay. So settlement is more leading towards a billing part.
And this is more like we can have a demurrages tracking also with YL.
No, demurrage tracking is different. Demurrage tracking, you need event management or TM integration, because demurrage is mostly for the resource tracking. We are not doing resource tracking in that way in terms of demurrage. That can also be done. You can do it like if you install any GPS or if you install any IoTs where the demurrage calculation can be done, the amount of stay in the yard, that can also be done, but you need to go for a custom solution. Okay.
Okay, based on the check-in and check-out time, right?
Based on the check-in and check-out. The duration of the time needs to be determined.
You're not audible, Virendra.
The duration of the time can be determined, and accordingly demurrages can be determined. But demurrage is something not what we are looking in YL. Demurrage is within the TM part.
Okay.
Okay, so I have to leave now. Is there any other queries?
Is NetWeaver is mandatory for this one to use SAP?
Yes, NetWeaver stack. If you are working on a standalone, yes. The answer is yes.
Do you cover the Fury too? Fury apps of yeah, logistics.
Without Fury, you cannot work, right? It's in Fury app application, right? It's integrated with 2022 server. So yes.
And the technical architecture is BOPF, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So Naveen will share my email ID with you. So if you have any further queries, you can just drop me a note also. No problem. Okay. We are free to address all your open questions and queries on the topic of it. And in case of any type of questions on the class timing, servers, durations, materials, everything, and you can contact Naveen. Okay. Okay then. So hopefully you get a good response, and then Naveen will come back with to you. Okay.
Thank
Sure.
you very
Thank
much.
Okay.
you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye bye
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.